Yeah, I remember the cash. I don't remember the bill. Roads available, we're gonna cut out. Roads available, so figure.
That's the big bag.
Yeah, you know how the kids do all the time. I was thinking that. You're good friend, because you really round up there. You know,
Okay, everyone, good evening. My name is Mike Thorley. I am your CAO for the town, but tonight I'm also going to be the master of ceremonies, or whatever you're going to call it, and the moderator, so we can keep the night going quite well. We do have members online through Zoom, so that's what the little owl is there. So if it winks at you, it winks at you, so don't worry with that. So, yeah, we have an agenda that's in behind me that you'll go through. All the council will run through everything, and then at the end we'll have a question and answer period if you would want at that time. We were hoping that the RCMP was going to be here also because they're on our agenda, but they must be running late, so we'll sort of work around that and go through it. But the plan for the whole evening would be, if you are going to want to ask a question at some time before the Q&A, and it relates directly to the item on the agenda, please stand up and wave at us, and we'll get you a microphone if needed to ask that question directly to us, so we can keep the night going quite well. And then, of course, at the end, if there's other items you want to ask, you can ask of council administration at that time. So that's sort of where we're at right now, and I'm going to pass it over to Mayor Volman, and we'll go from there.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Randy Volman, I'm your mayor. I just would like to welcome everybody here this evening. It's great to see this type of a turnout. Numbers that's bigger than we're usually expecting, but it's great to see everybody out. I'd just like to have you meet our council, because this is our first year in with everybody. So I'll ask them to introduce themselves, and we'll start with Bonnie.
Hi, everybody. I'm Bonnie Barber and proud to be a counselor.
Rob.
Hi, I'm Leah Switzer. I'm counselor and deputy mayor.
Sandy Metz.
Kyle Weber. And last but not least, Mark Oldershaw, counselor. Never last.
Thank you, everybody. So we're here to listen to you. So we're going to go through things and try to explain a lot of things that we have going on at this time. Some big projects coming up within the next 2 months, and how our community planning is going to carry on for years to come. So as we go through all this stuff, any input, as Mike said, that's what we're looking for. Okay, we don't make the decisions totally. We hope you help us make them. Okay. Yeah. Now I'll let Mike take over and he can do all the talking.
Thanks, Randy. For staff members today too, of course, I introduced myself already. I have beside me our Recreation Director, Stephanie Haswell. And I did see one of our other members the utility lady in there. Carrie Mitchell's here, so, and one of our other staff members is online, Tina, and she is our finance officer, so it's nice to have some support from staff also that way. Our special guests were to be the RCMP, as I mentioned, so hopefully they'll still stop in and give their report and answer some questions from you. So from that, because they were the first one, we're gonna move down to the 2025.
But first, we're gonna say thanks to Jason Pat, who's also an employee for being.
Oh, yes, Jason Papp too, yes. Oh, yeah, that part-time, full-time, yeah, I forgot about him. He just blends in with everybody. But anyway, so we're gonna move down to the 2025 initiatives under communications, and I'll pass it over to Councilor Metz.
Thanks, Mike. Can everybody hear me if I'm just talking without the mic? Can you hear me back there? No. Yes, okay. I have a good voice. My husband tells me that all the time. Just some housekeeping things. I don't know if you're aware, we have a new website coming up. We've had a fair bit of residents coming to us saying our website is hard to navigate, it's missing some things, how do I do the service tracker, and on and on. And so we took a really good hard look at it and made some significant improvements. It certainly is easier to navigate. It will give you additional information. If you want to pay bills and get to your customer portal, you can do that now through the website. The bylaws will be listed in there, landfill opportunities, calendars, and whatnot. It's being vetted right now by some residents. I've sent it out, and they're looking at it and giving me feedback, and then I give feedback to the office, and they make the corrections. So we're really, I want to thank the people who are looking at the website for us now. And we can look forward to getting that website out to you by next week. So get on your phones or get on your computers and have a look at it. We also have done amazing improvements, I think, on our opportunities for nonprofits to advertise. Our newsletter now comes out, as you probably noticed, it's a little bit longer, a little bit larger, lots more information. And I thank Jocelyn and our main office for doing that. If you are a nonprofit, we can advertise for you free of charge on our website, on our newsletter, on our electronic sign, and on our Facebook page. So if you get us the information really early, recognizing that our newsletter comes out the first of every month, we can get your information out at no cost at all. So that's a nice improvement. Primary health. I'm proud of our primary health people, and I would be remiss not to talk about who these people are that work hard to make sure primary health is at Regina Beach. It does not happen by accident. And these people meet all the time with groups of people, with the ministry. They're continually trying to improve it behind the scenes, and they don't get thanked enough, I don't believe. So if you're in the audience, will you stand up as I say your name? And I know a lot of you aren't here tonight, but under the direction of Janie Davies, Joan Cobbler, Melissa Pollock, Eunice Cameron, Karen Smith, Donna Hall, Stephanie Caswell, Janet Graff, and myself sit on primary health. Right now, on Wednesdays, lab services are open between 7:30 and 11, and the nurse practitioner is out from 9:30 to 3 o'clock. On Thursday, we have a nurse practitioner out from 9:30 to 3 o'clock. And they're working on very, very, very hard on getting us that third day. Right now, Sask Health has all the information. The committee has provided Sask Health with it. They have it. Now it goes to the ministry to sleep. You know what? The ministry is just the slowest forever, but we will not forget and we will keep at them. But if we don't hear for another year, we would not be surprised. But just know that they're working very, very, very hard to get us a third day at Regina Beach, which would be fantastic. So again, thank you to the committee. They also, primary health put out a survey to all the residents, and the survey results, the highest things that all of you said we needed was the need for more lab and nurse practitioner services, the need for some mental health support, the need for home care support, and more foot care and diabetic support. So those are all the things that are being looked at thanks to your feedback. We really appreciate that. Also know that the flu clinic is coming up as usual. This year, it will be October 30th. We're working hard to try to get a diabetic clinic. We might get something like that in September. So let's keep our fingers crossed. And that's primary health. And I think that's it. Does anybody have any questions or concerns or?
Who will be maintaining the website?
Jocelyn, the town of Regina Beach, Jocelyn is her name, and she'll be maintaining the website.
Internally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the building permit portion of the website looked at too? Because we were looking at building a garage and I found it very confusing
Okay,
for the building permit side. There were so many forms and I didn't know which to do first and didn't explain how to get payments in, and so that would be something I would suggest maybe looking at.
thanks very much. I'll mention it.
Thank you.
Anything else? Seeing none, thanks so much.
Thank you very much, Sandy. A couple things that maybe I was remiss at the very start to remind everybody, the people online also, is that if you do have a question, there is a chat part online that you can ask, and we'll try to monitor that. So if you have a question that anyone online, send it in and we'll try to address that way also. And anyone from the crowd too. We want to make notes of things that come up so that we know. If you want to give your name, that's great also, because then I can, and if you need any confirmation back, come and see me after so that we can send you an email or whatever is necessary that way too. I think that's a big part of tonight, because we need to have that input back, and that on the building permit one definitely is one, and we're trying to make it easier, put it that way. So it's not that's not an easy part at all, because there's so many different forms, there's so many different things that are part of it, but that's definitely one that's there. So next up, we have some updates on our major projects that we have. And the first up is going to be Recreation Director Stephanie and Councillor Barber. Just give me 1 second.
Again, if you're okay with no microphone, can you hear me okay at the back?
Yeah, you can hear me fine.
I wanted to recognize Stephanie here. Stephanie has single-handedly made the childcare center happen out here. Last year, for those that attended, there was a bit of a history given, and in a nutshell, Stephanie was hearing about people who were either unable to move out here or were now moving because their kids were school age and they couldn't get childcare. She did so much work, so much paperwork, so many phone calls, so much searching on the computer to follow through and navigate all the government stuff and pull in everything that might be possible. And as a result, we have that childcare center up there. We have people that are able to stay in our community, and we have people that are moving out. And so a huge round of applause for Stephanie. So not only did she get that all rolling and happening, but she's also dug up enough, I guess it's following the government's footsteps properly, that the childcare center is funded by the government. We own the building, we the town own the building, and we manage what's going on there. But it didn't have to come out of taxpayers' pockets provincially. Well, I shouldn't say that, maybe some was provincial, it was all federal?
It's provincial, but it's funded.
But it comes from feds then through provincial. Anyway, so I thought that was an amazing accomplishment, for sure. Steph pulled together a very impressive group of gals. It just turned out to be gals that worked hard for many months, getting the paperwork done and jumping through all the hoops and doing all of the protocol kinds of things, and then the ordering and so much. And what a great group. They were absolutely amazing. And what I found particularly interesting is that several that are on that committee, and even more now that are parents that have kids in there, are former students of mine from out here at the beach, well, and in Lumsden. And I just think that's so amazing that we raise kids that want to be here and remain here or come back to here. So I just think that's tremendous. So yeah, we have a center up there that is full of happy kids and adults. And we have 22 spots that are open and in functioning actually right now. We have 5 permanent staff up there and 4 part-time staff that are working up there. And Steph, I'm gonna let you talk a little bit more about that funding program.
You wanna turn the light off, we can.
I was wondering, we tried, we can't, no, it's sorry, if anybody here knows, and there's a switch that we haven't found, but.
Turn the light off because they can't see.
Yeah, all we got was a whole line with that one or a whole line this one. Yeah,
But that's still.
okay.
There's spot exactly.
Yeah, that's that help.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, Bonnie really hit a lot there. So yes, since our center has opened in April 2025, we've accommodated 22 spots for care. With that came a lot more need for more spots. So right now, the government of Saskatchewan, through the Department of Early Learning and Childcare Operations, the Ministry of Education, we've currently received $743,000 in funding. And we expect to receive another 149, so that the government of Saskatchewan, this is only for capital equipment costs. So it's the formation of the center. It'll be a total of $892,000 from the Saskatchewan government for that building and the equipment that goes inside. They do also, on top of that, our staff members, which are all local except for one, will also get education through the Saskatchewan government for free to get their ECE accommodate or accreditation that so they can work in these centers. So originally this had been a center that we're creating to be on its own, but at the July 8th council meeting, the council decided to keep Sandy Steps associated with the town as a municipal governed nonprofit entity. So the town now owns that building and it will maintain that building for the child care center. The center will, however, be operated independently by a director, and then they will report to the council. So it's a separate entity from the town. Due to all the demand, the plans are now on the way to start building an addition to accommodate another 38 spots. The building plans are currently being completed, and the building should start at the end of August 2025, so this month. And we're anticipating for it to be complete in the winter, so we'll get those kids going. That will mean we'll be able to hire more people from the community as well to run that center. So it's created a place for people to be able to stay out here, to move out here in the community, and we're creating jobs in the community. So it's a great thing altogether. And this is that $10 a day daycare that you do hear about. That's on the news and everything. So yeah, that's about it. So if anybody has questions, I can answer them.
I want one more little piece. Just to clarify,
Yeah.
the monies will actually come from the federal government. They're given to our provincial government and the other provinces. And so everything that's saying Sask, provincial government, it originated with the feds, came into Sask and then gets distributed from there. So just want to make clear on that because there's controversies about Mo not getting busy and getting the nest. They're just working out details. We've had tons and tons of assurances that they'll sign as soon as they have some of the things. So they were given 2 weeks from, okay, you have to sign now, or you're not, I don't know what it is, it's not extended. And they said 2 weeks is not reasonable. We will sign when we have all of these other things in order.
Thanks very much, Bonnie and Steph. One of the big things that I'd like to say for under the municipality side is that where Steph and both Bonnie mentioned, we're keeping some employment and making some employment in the community also. So that keeps and it's a decent amount of money for people to be working, and they're not having to travel anywhere. They can stick around here. They are going to get educated and get further educated. And I think that's a big step, and I commend council and the administration back when this started to put this in place. they're popping up all over the province. The director told me today that they're doing reviews of 440 other centers already that are going in the province. So you know that that's a must and a need within the province of Saskatchewan. The government is helping out, and of course the feds are helping out that way too. So that is very, it's a good part to our community, and it's just gonna grow larger from there. And a good spin-off to some of the other programs that Stephanie runs under the recreation department, so it keeps all the little creatures happy. Next up, sorry, creatures. Next up, the safe pathway to school, and I'm gonna pass it back to, well, I'm gonna start off with Deputy Mayor Schweitzer, and I said that right, and Stephanie.
Okay. I will try. Okay. It'll take.
Oh, you're on
Okay. So the safe pathway, as you all should have seen, is there beside the 54 highway and goes up to the school. And so through a grant with the Government of Canada, the Active Transportation Fund, the town was able to attain $150,000 to put towards a safe pathway project for the community. The initiative was to have a safe pathway for kids to travel from one side of the town to school, which would keep kids away from road traffic. As I'm sure many of you have seen, in the summer months when the bikes came out, there was usually always kids coming up 54 highway on their bikes because the ditch would be full of mud and they couldn't pass through it, or they were in the middle of the streets in town. So this gives them a nice safe space to go to get to school. And it also goes right up to the childcare center. So over the last few years, planning and additional funding have been put in place prior to tendering the project. $100,000 was put in reserves over 2 years, an additional $50,000 for a bridge, plus extras in the 2025 budget. After the tenders came in high, adjustments were made to the initial pathway plan, shortening the starting point to begin just off of Center Street by 5th Avenue, and not to go through Lions Park. The last part of these plans will be the bridge structure that will connect the pathway to the green space area. It's like kind of a drainage ditch that's there, so they are actively working on getting the bridge in place. And then additional funding from this year's Active Transportation Fund has been applied for to have the pathway run through Lions Park, as well as additional areas such as connecting to Steep Street and going down the hill, so there's a safe pathway down that steep on 5th. So I'll hand it over to Steph do you have any, did I miss anything? No, that's just a question. Didn't miss anything, so questions?
Yes, what did it cost? You just mentioned some budgets and last year's, this year's, like, you got the grant money. What did it cost the town of Regina Beach to build that path?
$150,000 is what has been spent, which is the Active Transportation Fund. So the additional funding that we put away has not been spent yet, which would be the bridge that needs to be built and put in place, as well as, where was I again?
So, yeah, active transportation.
Yep.
We saved 100, so
Yep.
that will be spent out of this time.
Okay, so the 100 that's in reserves will be spent over time here, so there will be benches and garbage cans and signage.
And no golf carts?
Well, and signage that says no motorized vehicles. It is a safe pathway for walking and biking, so the golf carts on it, I have seen it happen as well, and they come up that steep hill, and if somebody was about to walk down, there's gonna be a bad accident.
Monitoring this.
Like the use of it,
The electronic use.
it's gonna be by law and I guess RCMP, but mostly by law is who's gonna get hit. And we really just, people will start to like respect it. Yes, you had a question.
Aside from the path, what about where the path joins Highway 54 going across to the Beatley?
That's on our radar. That would be one that has to be worked with highways to get. So that is definitely in our strategic plan of a place where we would like to see some work done is a safe crossing to Bigway, because we know lots of people are walking and biking across.
And we do know that there's some grants available yearly, so we're on those as well. I know Stephanie has looked at them, so That's been on our radar for quite some time.
And it is one that we have to have highways all completely in on because you can't build something to cross them without their approval.
You're talking about the passes, so what about the path down by the water? I've never seen any maintenance done on it, I've never seen the town do actually anything with it. That's a scenic walkway for older people, not for kids, for older people, for adults. It's a great walkway. Is there any funding being put aside?
No, so that's all SAS Parks. So if there's work that needs to be done on that, you can put in service requests to SAS Parks and they will do it. Or they will put it in their queue, but that's SAS Parks land.
Have we ever requested that?
I actually did it personally just the other day.
Good.
So
That's-
you can go on their website under SAS Parks and you can either phone a phone number, or what I did was just, put in, there's some tent caterpillars starting, somebody had pointed out to me. So I put in a little service request, just to filled out the online form, and within 2 days, they emailed me back telling me that they received it and they dispatched it to the Regina Beach maintenance crew throughout here. So anytime you see anything like that on the path or in that recreation site, that's all SAS Parks, and you can put in requests to them.
Right? I just know SAS Parks is tough to work with. I do the fireworks out here.
Yeah,
We asked that the washrooms be opened up for that night. And I got the answer that wasn't a very good answer, that they don't even answer the phones for things like that. And that should be a priority. You've got a big event like this out there, and ladies are going behind the shack to have to go to the bathroom. And I watched many. I'll get into that kind of thing. Many people, which is sad.
yeah.
That's one of the bigger events out here. And somebody needs to take on SAS Parks if that's the problem and say, you need to open it up here and get people.
Can I call?
So Sandy would like to say something to that.
You know, when you say somebody has to get on SAS Park, we all have to get on SAS Parks. Truly, we are on them constantly. We're trying to get a hold of them constantly, but no big deal. A couple of people and a couple of phone calls, no big deal. What we need, honestly, is the residents going on the website, phoning, sending letters, doing all of that, because the word is, and you've probably seen on Facebook too, they don't have a whole bunch of money that they're going to be spending on our rec site in the next few years. So we have to really, really make a push as a community and would appreciate any help that you can give us. But thanks, Gabe.
And just one more thing from what Sandy mentioned. They're part of our agenda tonight. And we put it there because there has been some questions that have come up. And unfortunately, they're not going to be here tonight. But the information I got back from them is that we'll make a list of questions and comments to pass on to them. So that's what I'm going to do with their director or the area director. So this will be used to be able to do that. So I just wanted to pass it on to you that we have another avenue to go about that way too. Go ahead.
I was just thinking that it's also important that maybe as citizens that schools come out in September and the toilets are locked.
Yeah.
And that's really bad.
And to let you know we had 2 meetings, 1 meeting with them over the last little while and had the same discussions. Last September was really bad. Everyone remembers last September. It was one of the hottest Septembers we had, and our phone at the town office was ringing off the hook. One of the best things that we've done, I think, or better things we've done, is we've put a couple washroom facilities, which isn't great right now, at the top of the hill, and we've got people, utilizing them. They unfortunately even shut down the washroom facilities that are down by the filleting shack, and that was their last words before they walked out the door to us when we met with them last time. So our hands are tied, folks, and you know that as much as we do. Our hands are tied, and we have to stay on top of it, as Sandy said, and everyone said, to be able to do that. So they also, I'm not going to give them any graces, but they're going through transitions again, new people in place. They stopped in to visit about a week or so back it was, just out of a whim that they were in town when we've been trying to set up meetings with them. So it's really unfortunate because they are our neighbors and we want to make sure that it's a workable thing. But we know what we went through last September for sure. and it was not a good thing, so. So we have to stay on top of it, and that's all we can do, and now we know we can do that as residents also, so. Any more, come on, go ahead.
Do you want to ask some more questions about parks, or do you want to wait till we have the?
Let's just wait till the end if that's for the parks wise, unless you got something else, we're gonna just stay with that pathway. Go ahead, sir.
I've seen in future planning, they were talking about a washroom facility at the top of center. It hasn't been mentioned yet with the walking path. Is that still something that?
Well, I think I can address that. The Business Association of Regina Beach, it was their project and they started some fundraising around that. The Business Association, as I understand it, ended. And so I don't know where their funding is going or what they're doing with their funding. So just so that you know, now, when we went to SUMA this year, it is on our radar. Stephanie and I both spent a fair bit of time looking at some of the washrooms that they have and costs involved and whatnot. I believe, Stephanie, they were around 400,000. Am I right? Ish?
If you get a standalone one, you can go as low as like 150.
Okay.
But if we're building, it's gonna be,
Yeah, it would be, if we're building something significant, it would be around 400,000. So as we go into budget year, and we just have to figure out where that's going to be on our priority list. But it's in our minds.
Something too the council had discussed was making that, more of a, not just a washroom facility, it's gonna be maybe a tourism building or the welcoming building or something of that part, especially now with the safe pathway starting at that area also. So definitely planning to go forward, but you have to start planning to get funds together and so forth. So a couple ideas, which is great, but that's a good question to ask about.
Yeah.
It leads to that pathway. So.
Fighting with parks about it might be something that alleviates some of the stress regarding that.
Yes.
Anything else on the pathway at all? Hearing none. I'm gonna move on to water line replacement on First Street, and I'm going to hand the mic over, or not hand the mic over, to Mark Overshaw.
Yeah, I'm here to just let you know that we are replacing the water line on First Street East. It's the first one of many that have to happen within the community. We had a system where we were looking at the cost to repair, and the water lines that are costing the town the most are the ones that are first in line. So First Street East was deemed as the most expensive, just to the number of water main breaks that have taken place in the last 10 years. We have a strategic planning around those water lines. We're going to be using high density polyethylene pipe. We have a contract that was awarded to GB Construction out of Kipling at a cost of $838,000 for 3 blocks of water line. It's not cheap. But that's, with the number of water lines that we have, and we have to replace them. They're going to be replaced with a 6-inch line. And we'll do them as we can afford it. And hopefully we'll have one in the works for next year. A second one, possibly McMurtry, the far end of McMurtry seems to be having perforated pipe problems, and a number of that may be next on our list. But it's a short list right now. Yes.
In regards to water lines, it's right across from the golf course. Are we supplying water to Panuco Mile?
No, we are not.
I just saw the line going in the acres. That's the line. Yes.
They have asked, not asked. We're not supplying at this point.
I just have a comment. I know replacement is far more expensive than repair. But if you look at on Sixth Street East, we had 2 water main breaks in 2 weeks in the same spot.
Yeah.
So if we look at the cost of continual repair as opposed to doing it right the first time, yes, it's gonna hurt for a while, but,
We're going to be doing the constant repair. That is happening.
yeah. Well, I know, but it would be nice, like, for the future long-term plan, let's replace them with
Yes,
pipes that
that's,
we're not gonna, lines that we're not gonna
That
be
is the
repairing.
the whole plan is to replace with a pipe that can stretch.
Yeah.
And, high density polyethylene is kind of, the goal to use. And, it's stable. We're looking at probably 40 to 50 years before anything happens, although you will have surface breaks. But the main pipe should not, it can stretch. I can't remember the exact percentage, but it has a great deal of stretch before it breaks, so. That is the plan, and September, it's going to, First Street East will be the first one to be done, so. Yes,
Is it fair to assume every pipe in town needs to be replaced?
yes, very good.
Has anyone run the economics of contracting versus doing it internally? Since it's going to be a multi-year project, hiring a couple of people that's their own job is to work on replacing the water.
We haven't looked at that, no. Well, we're finding it's easier to subcontract. We don't have the equipment. The equipment is directionally bored. So the equipment is expensive. You need hydrovac trucks, and we just can't afford the equipment to do it.
If you haven't run the economics, you can't say that.
Yeah, it's a good comment. Thank you very much for that one, because I make note of it and we can discuss it with our group and of the worksheet for sure to see what it would be. Because definitely it's a long term. It's definitely not it's not 1 or 2 year term. It's a long term. The whole project of Bloodlines would have to be a long term.
My understanding is that the town years ago used to do it themselves. And so I think it would pay to take a look at it to see if it would pay to go back to that game.
Yeah, and I'm gonna speak to that because our foreman's not here tonight. I'm gonna speak to that. And part of the stuff that we've done in the past is part of the problem, i.e. Sixth is part of the problem that was done in the past. That wasn't either done properly or done not to the standard what's necessary is for a full replacement.
And there's new stuff out, so what was used might have been great at the time, but now they've worked on those problems and they've got improved product out there.
We know Sixth alone was one that we had some troubles with and have had some troubles with, so now that gets put on the list to look at more either repairs or proper repairs or eventually fixing, so altogether replacement. So I think these are, and it's not administration in the past and staffing in the past is what it was. And now we have to go forward to make sure that we're doing it as good as we possibly can. So we don't have to tear up a lot of different areas. So, but we know that it's running anywhere from $200,000 a block up to now $250,000 a block plus to go forward. So, and that's the standard right now that's out there. So, but I like the comment earlier about the internal side, depending on what you can actually do. But there's a lot of background, as Mark mentioned, background that we have to do for equipment and so forth. So, anyone else?
How easy would it likely to find, if you're gonna do it internally, find the people who really know what they're doing, assuming you can afford or rent equipment?
That's a really good question, man. That's a really good question. I'm not sure because it's right now, of course, we've moved away from that. The municipality has for many reasons we moved away from it. And so to get back into that, we're not sure. And that's why we have to look at a study and look at those things.
Because presumably the people you're hiring, the people themselves know what they're doing.
They are to know. Yes. Certain parts they. Anyone else? On the line? You'll hear a little bit later on, I think, a little bit, and Mark mentioned it, of the action plan that we have. It'll pop up on the screen. It's not going to be the greatest, but it'll pop on the screen. The action plan we have of looking forward for the next 2 or 3 or 4 years. So that'll be discussed a little bit later on. So good. we can move over to roadways. We have two parts to the roadways, and I'm gonna pass this over to Councillor Weinberger.
One of the town's major infrastructure projects this year will be the paving of Fifth Avenue.
Can't hear
One of the town's major infrastructure projects this year will be the paving of Fifth Avenue from Fifth Street to 16th. It's a total of 1.1 kilometers. Fifth is probably the second most utilized roadway in town behind Center Street and has faced some major obstacles in recent years. It links communities together and is one of the major arteries in our municipality. In 2022, the road was updated with reclaimed asphalt. However, this solution did not last. Beginning in 2024, council made it a priority to have the roadway repaired thoroughly and brought back to previous standards. A tender package was issued in early 2025. Southwest Paving out of Swift Current was awarded the tender and was set to commence work after the September long weekend. Council added the scope to their capital budget with a price of $694,000. Due to various heavy haul vehicles we have in the municipality, i.e. loaded septic trucks, it was decided to beef up the roadway with 4 inches of asphalt being placed. This investment should reduce future maintenance costs. In addition to the paving, there are multiple locations throughout town where the asphalt has been excavated or removed due to waterline breaks. Southwest Paving will be utilized to pave these locations as well. This will be a cost savings to the ratepayers as they will already be mobilized for the previous scope. Questions on Fifth?
Was a post-implementation review of the work in 2022 undertaken?
I don't believe so.
Like, I'm just curious. That seemed to me like it was not a big success.
The reclaim was not a success, correct?
I'm wondering about whether we took a look at what happened.
Yes.
To make sure that never happened again.
Yes, we did.
I can talk about that a little bit. What happened was we were trying to plan to do the water line before we ever paved Fifth. And it was found that our main line that runs down Fifth is in really good shape. And what our water breaks were service lines, because the whole line, as the hill shifts, the whole line shifts with it. And then with the service lines on the upper side are the ones that were breaking. So we had ASL come in and they gave us this new project that would be just like pavement and work for us. But unfortunately, they didn't take into account of what our winters do. So what was happening on the very first spring, on our first freeze and thaw, water got into that reclaim. And when it froze overnight, it popped potholes all over the place. And we've been trying to keep those filled now, but we have decided we're good to go to pave it. So that's where we started after this. That's why you have to put up with it this year, because we didn't get our full project done until this spring and had our contractor. And he was not able to come here until the asphalt plants that they use fired out. So that's why September 1st is our first date. And that thing that was underneath there by
Perennials. Now,
they would not warranty it. So that's why I hope nobody gets mad, but you won't see ASL back in this town for a while.
Who in the town is responsible for the technical evaluation of proposals like that? So.
What do you mean by technical proposals?
Was there some way to take a look at your proposal and say, well, what about when we get a freeze thaw? You know, what's like, I'm just not sure. I didn't see any post implementation review. So I don't know if someone was looking at it and saying, you know what, have we looked at this from a different perspective, as we should be looking at all technical projects, whether or not we could have avoided that maybe we could have said, that's not going to work here, no matter how much you say.
On the previous road, what they did to it, it was brand new. It was a new technology that they did, because as you saw,
they ripped that road right down. My question is, who in the town is responsible for assessing a project proposal?
We would have engineers that take care. We have engineers that take care of that, any of those, because we have to have engineering to do any of these projects going forward, i.e. water lines, any of these major
Are they
projects.
members of the town or are they contracted?
Contracted, yeah, we don't have engineering on staff, so.
Wait to that.
Are we going to do the repairs with that's what the telephones did, or are they gonna fix, my road is falling apart because it hasn't been done, and because of water underneath. Are we gonna bite the bullet and get them fixed and then maybe charge SaskTel?
There are several locations that we're patching, $90,000 to $100,000 worth. I don't have the exact specifics for you right now, but some of those areas that you're speaking of are on the list.
Ours has been patched and never packed down on low place, so it was just raw there, but packed down.
What was your, what address are you?
Place.
Low place.
Low place?
Yeah.
If I can meet up with you after, I can get you an answer for sure.
It was not packed down. It
So
was
this
just
is
raw.
the new back down asphalt, or sorry, paving now.
Eunice, you mean when SaskTel came in and did their repair,
I guess, I don't know.
that they never,
Yeah.
with the fiber?
And they never fixed at the top of the hill anyway, they only fixed by the one at the first corner, they never came up to the second.
Yeah.
We've been in contact with them, and unfortunately, it's a third-party contractor that they do, but
I know.
we,
it's from Alberta.
yeah, we submit to them, this is probably the second or third time to them directly to come back to do that work, so.
Yeah. I don't know how long we're gonna wait, because we've done this once before.
When we're talking about resurfacing, Sixth Avenue was one of the best paved roads in town comparable to Seventh Avenue. It's totally deteriorated. Town did come out and do some patchwork. They patched one hole here and 5 feet away, they left it. I don't understand. It should be resurfaced. And if you're gonna be directing traffic to Sixth Avenue, once you start paving Fifth, we're gonna have bigger potholes there, and it's also a school bus route. It has heavy traffic, and it doesn't seem to be a primary road to anyone. And it's not a gravel road, it definitely is asphalt, but it's been treated like a gravel road.
We can definitely look at that for our secondary roadway and Fifth gets redirected for sure. We'll have to do some work before, yeah.
So it's between 9th and 14th.
9th, 14th and 6th.
And the asphalt is crumbling on there.
I'd like to know if there's any plans to put any permanent speed bumps on here now.
There is, they're
It's
not gonna be,
basically a race rate.
they're not gonna be your typical speed bump where you just have to slow down and hit it. They're gonna be a rolling speed bump, much like you see on Grand Ave on University.
And what type of locations, how far apart?
I don't have the exact specs for me, but I believe there's 3 along Fifth that we're gonna be installing.
Three or four along there.
Not right at the stop sign.
No, it's, we did a review of the areas of nature, it's not in somebody's driveway one. And it's, there's one that's further down towards 16th, but it's not right at the end. It's a little bit further back. And then there's another 2 or 3 back in each of the sort of blocks, if you want to say that all the way. Around
7th and 10th.
Yeah. Yeah. And they're gonna be not the jagged ones, the elongated ones, just like, in Buena Vista. Oh, go ahead.
It's a speedway.
Yeah, right now there's speed bumps on Osborne.
We have a tornado alert, right?
Give us 1 second.
Yeah.
Osborne Avenue isn't paved right now, so but that's one, like, and there is the speed.
Is that for?
Three people that live 2 doors down got kids. It's not good.
Is there one on 4 block Osborne?
I agree with him though, but it's like, we live on Osborne too. And everyone's racing by, even on the road in front of the golf course. They go like,
Somebody's gonna get killed.
Yeah.
it's ridiculous. Like, it's a dust storm at our place all the time. It's not.
So
And as everyone knows, the roadway in front of there, that is Canucama's, that is theirs to take care of. It does get dust control, it does get graded, it has those things on it. There's a joint thing that we have with them when we do the dust control and so forth. So, so that's part of that. And then up in Osborne, of course, it's treated the same way as our other streets in town. So, and I know that we've had information sent to us through service trackers and so forth for Osborne itself. So, we'll look at those speed bumps a little bit more because that has been asked for in the past, and that's one of the places that was given, those rumble strips to be able to put there. So,
Is there a speed bump on 4 block Osborne? That's it.
It's not right now.
Yeah, okay. Okay.
hey, thank you. Oh, that's right.
I know you talked about the road across from the golf course in Canucama, but how many times is supposed to contact Ratepayers? They don't care. Somebody's gonna die. Like it's 70, 80 kilometers an hour. Yeah. They're gonna have a kid coming out of the golf course getting splattered.
Wouldn't that be RCMP though?
They don't care. They don't care. We need to do something until somebody dies and we're gonna worry about it. Limit their access to go to Canucama. We've got the campground that's in there, all these added facilities, and it's Indianapolis 500.
Municipality is limited on what they can do on that road.
Okay, we'll just put up crosses for people now.
No, I agreed with you, but we're limited on what we can actually do. We don't own the property, we don't own the road. RCMP is your best route.
Yeah, figures.
Anything else on roadways for Fifth and Ashland?
I did have just one regarding Fifth Avenue and Fifth Street East. Okay, you'd like to redirect boats from going that way to get to the boat launch, and it's not really working at all. As quite a joiners,
Are the boats still going down there?
Yes,
Oh,
they are. And then there's Fourth Avenue where there's another signage, turn left and head west to the boat launch, and they keep going directly down past Brewers.
and then there's the big concrete blockade, so
Yeah,
I guess they're determined.
yeah.
Yeah, and it's
So
something,
could one of these same, I know there is what's called a speed bump out of the pavement, right? As Unit Vista has, it's already on Fifth Street East, but it's not enough to slow, especially the boats and trailers.
and that's a good comment because, yeah, that is a busy area because they also turn down Fourth. And Fourth is another busier, street in town too. Going back to the boat thing, just really quick. The municipality has worked with, we talked about SAS Parks earlier, but there's a plan in place in the past to do things. And now this council and this administration has actually gone forward with some of the plans to try, once again, we use the term loosely, try to make it better, that people can understand how to follow the signs, how to follow the routes that are there. We can't control everything that goes on. We can give it to them just like anything else. When you're driving on the highway and you see the sign that says 110 to go, do you do 110? It's up to you to make that decision, and that's what we say in municipality. We're trying to do as best as we possibly can. This year, we've done more than ever to get it done that way. No, with no help of SAS Parks in the sense of they didn't continue to do what they wanted to do. We're trying to make it a better area for that to happen. So, unfortunately, we told everybody that there's a new route now. They said, oh, there's a new route. And everybody else looks at it because it was a change. So we're trying to make it better, put up some good signage and trying to educate people. That's the other part of municipalities is educating people to be able to do it. I think that's a big thing now.
But it's more the speed bump because it's such a half pavement, half gravel, pothole street, 3Ds. Could they raise the speed bump a little higher to make everybody slow down a little?
I make myself a note and when we discuss it with the contractor because we're putting those other ones in anyways. It might be an easy fix because they're right in that area.
Yeah,
So,
thank you.
Just Mr.
We've had 3 alarms.
We're looking at radars.
So Stephanie, I was waving at her that maybe we should check this out as a.
Yeah.
We're looking at radars. You saw it was up the lake.
Yeah, it's nowhere near us.
No, it's not near us.
So that's what I was just watching the radar, trying to see exactly where it is.
See all this?
It looks like it's quite a bit north, it looks nowhere near.
So we're safe here.
Space.
Go ahead.
I just want to make a comment about that boat launch route. I live on the east end of town. For 40 years, I've been going down 5th Avenue, 5th Street, and going to the boat launch. I am not about to go to Center Street and try and fight the traffic to turn right onto Center Street with my boat and trailer and truck. You're making it more of a hazard to the public by the route that you've chosen. And besides, why is my tax dollars paying for those signs and paying for those barricades when it's Parks property? You're causing more of a safety concern than you're helping. And no exit out of that overflow of the parking lot at the boat launch. That's ridiculous. Have you seen 2 vehicles trying to make their way up 3rd Street? One's coming down, one's going up. That road's not wide enough. You're causing a serious bottleneck out of traffic and also you're putting people in jeopardy, not the ones driving, but the ones working. Frida doesn't want the boats going past her house. Chris Brewer doesn't. Do you think the people on 3rd want it going past their house? You're causing the same problem for them. Pardon?
Any counselor want to make comment on that?
Sure, I will.
I was at the meeting when Chris Brewer brought a delegation.
Okay.
That delegation was 5 people. They lobbied council to change their route. They didn't want boats going past their house. Well, I want a barricade on my street because I don't want big trucks going past my house. It's the same difference. Like, leave it alone, make the road wider, but it doesn't necessarily need to have a whole different route.
It wasn't just that delegation. There was a subsequent meeting with Parks where Parks had already had the plan to close that exit. So it wasn't just that delegation. There was subsequent meetings with SAS Park. So yes, they voiced their concerns like you have voiced many of yours that we've taken note of, right? Where when we then met with SAS Parks, who had a plan of how they wanted to route through there, we then also have to work with that as to how to make that traffic work through the town.
Then you're gonna have to widen roads. And why did we pay? Why are we paying for those barricades? Why are our town workers putting those signs up if that's a Parks initiative?
It's also a problem, like some of the signs are also to help with Center Street because there was also a problem on Center Street, which is also our problem, right? So some of that signage and stuff has to happen to stop that traffic that was coming down straight down to the pier and then trying to turn around because they didn't understand where the boat launch was. It's not just residents, right?
I think there should have been public input in regard to that. All of a sudden you're slapping up signs and expecting people to comply. There should have been public input into that.
I said, early when the plan was gonna be done, it was on newsletters, and we invited people to come to town council. lead a horse to water, I'm just saying.
Sorry, missed that, didn't see it.
Okay, anything else on the roadway?
If I may, Kim, you said there's no exit from the overflow, there is still an exit from the overflow. It's one exit. And not four in the ditch, that's what we're blocking, is the ones that aren't exits. That one exit that's on the very west side of that place has always been there, always will be there to take that flow back out to Center Street and out of town
Have you
on
tried,
one road.
have you tried to turn there with a boat and trailer? It's not like.
You're trying to turn there to go back up Fifth Street, right?
No, you're trying to turn there to go on the route you're suggesting to exit out.
Well,
It's not wide enough. There's a great big ditch there that should have a culvert. I've seen it. I watched it. Go down there, have a look. It
Okay.
doesn't work.
well, then talk to Parks because that's their route.
I have talked to Parks.
Good.
And what did Parks tell you?
Well, Parks had to tell me that it was an initiative from town and a certain group of individuals.
Interesting.
Is that when you were on council?
I don't.
I just wanna make a comment about the boat launch. Have you tried, has anybody tried actually exiting boat launch and following the signs when it's very busy, and people don't park properly? You can't get through with the boat trailer.
I have.
You get
done it,
wedged in
and
there
it's
and you have to literally
impossible.
try back up and go out how we used to go out, because nobody monitors how people park down there. You can't get through. Again, isn't that hard?
Yes.
Once again. Yes, and we, yeah.
But aren't you here to lobby for us with?
Yes,
Parks?
yes, Kim.
Yes, but Kim, remember, we are one voice, just as each individual here is.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, we don't carry much more weight than any one of you. So the more that are willing to speak towards this and in the appropriate places and through their channels, the more likely we're gonna see some action. Believe me, this group and the group before us has put in tons of requests and had meetings and brought it to the public to say, you know, we don't know a better way. Are there any ideas out there? So truly, this group is working as hard as they can. The biggest reason we don't have a perfect solution is because we're the only free boat launch in the area. Plus we're easy access from Regina. So maybe some wealthy person will die and bequeath millions of dollars and we can do something or another to enhance and build lots more boat launches and reduce the problem. It's a bit insurmountable now. And right now, all we do is just eat that elephant one bite at a time. So everybody here that can take a moment, get on your computers, put in your complaint. Your voice carries as much as our one from council. So
All I'm saying, Bonnie, is council used to have regular meetings with SAS Parks. And we used to be able to discuss things, so.
You're
as
right.
Just a minute, Bonnie, as a council on the whole, you have a big, I realize we have a voice too, but we need you to represent us and we will all lobby.
And Kim, we will continue request those meetings. We request them every couple of months. And when they come or when they agree or they cancel and redo, you know, that's when we get them. That's simply all we have. Regina Beach is not one of their bigger, what should I say?
Priorities.
Sorry, one of their bigger priorities. It just isn't, and it's very frustrating, and yet it's just a reality. So we will continue with all the things we're hearing from you. We will continue asking for their meetings and being there when they are doing their meetings, and we'll just keep on doing that. That's all we have in our capability.
At least once a month, somebody from Parks is out here. And they're busy trying to regulate who has shoreline leases down there. Along between the boat launch and 16th Street. And they put their little pegs up with red markers on them. And every time they have a new person in that position, the same thing happens and nothing gets done. So I think anytime we talk to Parks, it can't be from a lower level other than the people higher up, because it seems like every second year there's a new person in that role. And they're just not hearing us.
That is also true.
One last one.
This is something that we've talked about for probably 30 years. And it keeps coming up. 30 years ago, we used to be at the yacht club on a Sunday, we would sit there to watch fights. You know, this is a parks thing, and I don't, like, if you say parks isn't doing anything with this, what's the answer? We come back again next year and we all complain about what's going on there, and we do it the next year, we do it the next year, but nothing's being done, and I'm not sure how much you guys can do. It's a parks thing, until we settle with parks and get some type of a, I would like to have seen a guy who's sitting there for parks thing. Like somebody.
We asked.
And maybe that could be something for the next meeting or whatever, but again, this is deja vu, you guys, for everybody that's been there. We've heard all this for 25 years.
I get the general impression that as time goes by, parks is even, this park is even less of a priority for parks than it was 15, 20 years ago. When maybe there was more regular meetings with no issues or problems. and now
It's a zero revenue thing for them, we're just a money cost, we're an expense line for them, there's no
Because they're
revenue.
not making any money. No. It's probably the only one of the places in Saskatchewan that
Make
they're
it
not
the
making.
Zoom up.
That just.
That
Thank you very much. That's good comments on all that, because that's a big, it's been a big issue, and as many mentioned, it's been a big issue for a long time, so we will continue on the avenue. Next up we have is the lagoon. No, the lagoon, and we have two areas of lagoon that we'll be discussing, and we'll give time over to Mayor Bowman.
There, as you all know, that this is before my time. The new lagoon that was built out there and everything was funded by federal funding. So there's still funding remaining that they actually want us to spend. So we've got partnered up with the RM of Lumsden to recap and for it's not a heavy haul, but it's a reinforced recapping of the gravel road out there to our lagoon. And we're spending federal money on that to have that done in conjunction with the RM of Edenville, so that. I still got it. RM of Lumsden. So that's one of our projects that we're doing out there in conjunction with them, and that's gonna hopefully start this fall. If it doesn't, it'll be done next spring. And then the other thing that we've done using some of that federal money is we put in a new entrance for the septic trucks, where they will be monitored as each one goes in. And every load that they take into that lagoon, a $5 surcharge will be charged to them. That will go straight into our infrastructure for that lagoon, because we know we're gonna need funding to work on the cells, to do repairs and everything on them. And that's the most economical way that we take everybody in the community that is using that lagoon with the septic, through the septic truck drivers, by having them pay us for hauling into there. Any questions?
Did you say that the federal government paid for the lagoon?
We were, it was a project.
Yeah.
Federal funding was put into to build that lagoon.
But no money from the community?
Yeah, it was 333.
Or 1/3, 1/3.
And the area of Bona Vista and everyone else had paid into it also as a loan against it and so forth. So they're still working on it. Questions on the lagoon at all? Hearing none. Landfills next. That's me. I didn't put up a slide. So the landfill itself, if anyone's heard some rumblings around, over the last few years, the municipality, of course, has operated the landfill and had a lot of work to do to get it up to specs to have it meet the Ministry of Environment's guidelines. And if anyone else has heard in the province, This has been going on for about 10 years where the Ministry of Environment wants to shut down landfills. They have stronger regulations throughout, and they are trying to go, and I don't have the exact numbers, but I was told by one member that they're trying to go to originalization of landfills from 400 and some landfills down to 17 regional landfills throughout the entire province, if you can imagine, right? So that is the provincial government that regulates for us to be able to do this. And why I bring that up is because we have done work and spent money with engineers and done physical work out of the landfill to get it back up to a standard where we have had an extension to our license over the next 3 years. And I think it runs out at the end of 2026, if I'm not mistaken. In the midst of all that, there was federal and provincial monies that were going to be provided, of course, because they want you to, and I'll use the term, decommission it and decommission the landfill. So a few years ago, our municipality applied for that funding and received it. Finally got the okay to receive it, and there's 1.5 million and change that will be used. Our portion of it is around $440,000 to the decommissioning of that. But once you decommission something, of course, you have to put something back in place to keep the landfill going, because of course we still have our garbage here that we pick up on a regular basis, and then also any other additional garbage that's heading out there. So we're in the process right now of trying to finalize and go out to see if we're going to do a transfer station or put a new cell in place. And that all costs money.
Big money.
Big money, yes. So we're definitely looking at leaning towards a transfer station, working with our engineers and whoever else to get that done. Luckily, what we've done is this was supposed to be completed in a very short period of time. And we've asked and requested an extension. So we have an extension until 2028 to get all of this work done. Why I let the general public know was because there won't be anything probably for the next year at least that you'll see any changes out at our local landfill. But once the landfill starts to be decommissioned, we'll be potentially looking at a transfer station. What a transfer station is, you'll be bringing still your garbage out there. It gets sorted a little bit differently, goes into certain bins, and then that is taken into the city of Regina to a cost to the municipality, which in turn we'll have to figure out how we get that cost back to our ratepayers altogether, if necessary, depending on the numbers. So we're working towards that right now. So
what will happen about dropping off the trees and bushes and stuff?
That'll still be something that we'll be allowed to do. There's certain portions of it we'll be allowed. We won't be able to our knowledge, be able to take any construction, so any demolition, we won't be able to take, and that will have to be as similar to what Bonavista is doing right now, where you actually have to get a bin brought in, tear down, and it's then delivered that way
I'm
too.
just talking about when you trim your trees and bushes, we'd still be able to.
Yeah, that's still the plan. There'll still be certain spots we'll be allowed to take certain items there and still have our own pile and so forth. But those are things we're working out with it. So that sort of just go ahead.
Why don't we look at going the same way Bonavista did for garbage pickup?
The contractors that we looked at won't pick up in our community because of the hills and the slopes and the widening of the width of the roadways and so forth. So the lanes, the dead ends, all that. We've had consultation with them, and they won't do that, unfortunately. So that sort of gives you'll hear about it again, I'm sure next year at the same meeting, you'll hear about this again, but we thought we'd give you a quick overview, and nothing technically is going to change right at this time, but you'll see some action in 2026 for the landfill. Next up, if nothing else on that, is the fire department and new pumper truck to Mr. Wayne.
Good evening, everyone. Over 3 years ago, the fire department looked at starting putting the plan together to replace our frontline apparatus. Our fire truck is right now is 25 years old this year. So the result of that planning
last fall, there was an RFP put in place, and there were 5 different companies that bid on it. The successful applicant was Acres out of Manitoba. And right now, our command group, which is our chief, deputy chief, and 3 captains, are also working on that to finalize the configuration of that vehicle. Hope to get that ordered in the next month or 2. The unfortunate part, it's anywhere from 12 to 18 months for that to be constructed. So we're hoping for sometime fall of 26 that truck will be here. The current truck we have was safety last year, and it's good as a frontline apparatus for the next 2 years. So that's where we're standing right now. As far as the rest of the fire department, we are now up to 19 firefighters. We onboarded five probationary firefighters back in, I believe it was February. They are now on the call-out list. So we've got a 19 people. We're pretty well represented at any fire or any call that we get to. We also cover all, as well as structure fires, wildfires, lake rescue, and vehicle extrication. So our command staff has made sure that we're trained in all of those assets, and right now we're looking really good as far as staff goes for the fire.
And in our budget, just so that you know, we budgeted $850,000 for the truck. So you should know that.
Well, a good point is that the majority of that money is in reserve right now. We don't have to come up with that this year. That's so.
As a partner.
Oh, and that's a good point. We have part of the Army community. We have agreements with Buena Vista, Pinocchama, Lumsden Beach, and part of the RM as well. All sharing the cost of that. Yep.
How many first responders are there?
Medical first responders? I'm gonna guess at 7. I'm not sure.
That's not part of the fire department.
That's not part of the fire department. Yeah, medical first responders are a separate area there. For some reason.
Well, there's Saskatchewan.
Is there discussion about that on here somewhere?
They're done through Sask Health. And we just give them the space to use, so they're not really governed by the community.
That said, the medical first responders and the fire department practice together at certain times, like twice a year, we do vehicle extrication together and low angle rescue as well. And we work as a group together, because that's what's happened in the past, that both of us are called to a particular incident.
Is there enough equipment for all the emergency first responders?
Medical? They're, as far as I know, they're well equipped, and they've made sure that we also have emergency medical equipment on each of our 3 vehicles.
And they submit budgets each year of things that they want or they need. They submit.
Like the fire department does, or the first responders.
I believe that first responders are on a per person basis, are they not, Mike? I'm not mistaken, there's a formula.
X amount of dollars per year to operate. So.
We did put additional defibrillators though around the community, did we not?
Yes, there's also there's 2 of the 3 emergency vehicles we have. 2 of them also have AEDs on them.
Okay, thank you very much. Anything else on the fire department itself? If not, I'm not going to stand. I think I'll sit for this one, but I get the task of talking a little bit about the budget. And so we have, of course, an operating budget. We have a capital budget that we've basically almost covered the entire thing in all our projects we have. And then I'm going to talk just a little bit about transfers from reserves and the reserve monies that we have in place. So our operating budget for 2025, we have a total revenues will be just over $7.5 billion. Now that price was up a little bit because we did draw in some of the reserve money to do some of the major projects. Last year we were about 5.8 million, and so this year we're up to 7.5, but I'll give you a little bit more information on that. And then of course our total expenditures will be very equivalent to that, with the municipality can't run a deficit and or surplus budget, but we have to make sure we at least have some money. And so we're anticipating a surplus of $900. You know, it sounds like a weird number, but that's what it is. It's broken down on one of the sheets of paper that was handed out tonight, and you received it in your taxation also. It's broken down of where the monies is spent. There's a pie chart that sort of gives an idea how much money is spent in public works, how much money is spent in recreation, and so forth. So that's a pie chart that's there. I think it's on one of the slides, but it doesn't really come out that well. Going to the capital budget. Now the capital budget, of course, is in this budget altogether, and we have these items. The majority of them we've spoke about this evening. There's a few that are additional. Of course, we have some stuff in the Public Works Department that we've purchased a new office trailer that is utilized, and we have it up in operational now. That's a better space for our Public Works Department alone, so they're not having their brakes sitting beside the oil and so forth. So it's a nice improvement. We did purchase a little bit of equipment minimally this year for the Public Works Department. And we did some work, repairs on the wells for our water system also. So that was a big thing. And most of the other numbers that are put on there, you see, and we've discussed, of course, from everything from the landfill decommissioning. That will probably be extended to next year's budget. It will be moved forward because we won't be decommissioning until 26, 27, or 28. So that sort of gives you a quick idea of capital. Any questions, comments on that? So forth. The next slide sort of shows the reserves in and reserves out. And when I mentioned this, councils in the past and have been putting funding away in a variety of areas. Those areas cover everything from the fire department to the roadways to the water lines to buildings and so forth. This year, of course, you see that the capital budget is quite large when it comes to the repaving, some of the work that's there. So we've taken money out of the reserves. It'll be $1.9 million. It's coming out of reserves that is going to be used to, of course, be expensed to be able to do these projects. So it was a necessity at that time. And some of that is, of course, from everything from the fire truck to so forth that we have. There's a little bit of transfer from the previous surplus that we have of $100,000. And then we transferred some money to reserves that we were able to through the taxation dollars altogether. The mill rate this year was the first time in 3 or 4 years that the mill rate has increased. It went from 4.13 to 5.13. That was to help some of the costs that we need for some of the major projects we had. In the past, you would have seen on your tax information that it would have been the base tax that would have went up in a slight amount, but this time it was the actual mill rate that council decided on to make it work. And so it was a minimal tax increase. The majority of the people this year also was the reevaluation or the reassessment of your properties and your land. So you would have seen the adjustment on that also. If anybody wants to come and ask me questions about that after, please do. I did give one of the SAMA sheets in the pack, what part of the package. And it's good information that if you want to do a one-on-one, we definitely can do that, or you can give me a call or stop in the office. And as I mentioned, we did that number on the other page was incorrect. We did put 159,000 away in transfers to reserves, and we have, and I didn't bring that number with me. I have it with me in the reserves itself. Somewhere in the range of 1.5 to 1.7 million in one reserve, and then we have close to another 1.2 million in a second reserve account that we'll be utilizing. Some of that, of course, for the fire truck. That was money that was earmarked back 4 or 5 years ago. So I know that's sort of going through its speeding and fast. This was a document that you would have received in your tax, with your tax notice. It gives a breakdown of where the monies are spent. on a regular basis. And, that's sort of the budget and the areas in a nutshell that way. Thoughts, questions, comments on that? As I mentioned, I know I went through it quite quickly, but these are numbers that will be also provided on our website. And if anytime anybody has any questions about where the monies go, we do deliberate on a regular basis. We are actually tracking it a little bit differently now with the budgetary control of our spending so that we are on top of it and council can stay on top of it on a regular basis. So I think there's some nice changes within administration to help council make decisions going forward. So hearing none and not seeing any RCMP right now. Next items, we sort of, I don't think I put it on the actual agenda, but it was something that I was sort of, maybe I did under the budget. It was called strategic planning, but it's more, we call it action plan. And I really like to pass this over to Sandy Nats because she's been very instrumental over the last X amount of years to talk about this happening. But I did put a document in place. It's not great on the screen, but what I can tell you of this council and the councils before is that the essential part of why we're here tonight and what we're doing is that you have to plan. You know, John over here mentioned about planning and about being able to find out how to spend the money and so forth. You need to plan those. And this is what this plan is, an active plan. It's a living document that can be changed at any time, but the council does deliberate on a regular basis to be able to put this plan together. In this plan, it talks about roadways, it talks about water lines, it talks about recreation, it talks about buildings, it talks in all those areas. And so as an administrator, I never want to tell the ratepayers that we aren't reviewing doing these things because council is taking the time and administration does take the time to give you the best bang for your buck and going forward to what's necessary and reviewing on a regular basis. I don't know if you want to hit specifically on some of them, but they run everywhere from, we did a major project over the last couple of years on sidewalks, as you can see down Center Street. And we have a little bit more sidewalk work due at the top of Center Street to better that off and also work in conjunction with the pathway that's going forward. So that'll be looked at potentially in 2026 or 2027. There's water lines that Councillor Oldershaw talked about before that we are going to look at for the next X amount of years to be able to do it. And we've earmarked it with our staff and with our engineers of where those areas are to potentially do this. Then we gotta make sure we can find the funding to have that done. So it's not the greatest slides up here. Don't want to go through it line by line, but it gives you an idea that there is some major areas that the municipality is looking at on a regular basis. One of the other initiatives I want to say as an administrator is that this last year, starting in January, we took it, council took it upon themselves to have regular committee of the whole meetings. And what that basically is, it take all of our committee meetings that we would have. You'd have a committee meeting for communications, you'd have a committee meeting for public works, you'd have one for a variety of things. And we put it all together and we were meeting every Tuesday night and in between council meetings. And they were open to anybody that wants to sit in on them, that wanted to listen, just like a regular council meeting. But it allowed us to deliberate in a different mannerism with all council that were able to be there in the evenings to be able to do that. And it was very productive from January until June. And we're going to review it and council will make the decision if we're going to continue it back in September going forward so that we can get another good budget come through and keep deliberating from there. So I think that was a very positive thing. They used to have meetings before, but it would be some during the day, some people couldn't come. And so this was a better way to do it. I commend council for doing it. It was a lot of fun Tuesdays and a lot of long Tuesdays, but I think that production up until June was that, and you can see the dividends of the work that's going to be done, i.e. 5th being paved, that, you know, that we get regular complaints on and so forth, so that's just one of them, so. Go ahead.
Yeah, I would just say, once the new website comes out, take a look at the action plan, because as Mike said, when we're meeting every Tuesday, I mean, it's a big commitment of our time, but I'll tell you, it's really helped us organize our thoughts and our opinions. And when you send me emails or anybody else gets emails, then we can talk about them, and we're able to hear you, and we're able to talk about what you're saying. So you'll be able to look at the action plan and get I'll give you an example. It'll say, can you go back to the other one? Oh, it doesn't matter. It will have priority lists, so you'll be able to see, we were gonna do sidewalks. Now, I mean, that's not a priority right now. That top sidewalk isn't a priority because we have some serious issues with the roadways and whatnot, and it's allowed us to put our priorities in place, but it's a live working document, which means it can change on a dime. Just because it's like that now, doesn't mean it'll be like that 3 months from now, and we might have to make some changes. And we make some changes by hearing from you. We understand that everybody has their own street and their own thing that's important to them. And when you look at a big municipality, everybody has their road that they want. So it takes a fair bit of putting our heads together and making priorities. And we're thinking that, you know, the most people will be happy with these priorities. Some will be unhappy, and that's just the way of the world. But it's tough decisions that we have to make. Look at the website when it's up. Look at the action plan, look at the water lines, which roads we're thinking about next and next and next and next. Look at which roads we're looking at, repaving or resurfacing or whatever. It'll give you a good idea, and it'll, I hope, allow residents to understand that we aren't just pulling out a roadway. I mean, we really are putting some thought into it, and the things that you have to say and the emails that you send to us make a difference. I think I'll just leave it at that.
Do they?
What's that?
Do they?
Yes, they do. I think they do.
Questions, comments on the action plans? Anything that? Comments? Good. We put a couple other items on there, and I think that we've actually talked a little bit about it already. I'm gonna skip to the bottom first. I'm gonna go to upcoming events. And we always like to talk what's happening in the recreation world. And I'm gonna pass it to Stephanie. She can read off a couple of the events that are coming up until the end of the year.
All right, for those of you that have grandkids and kids out, we usually have our pumpkin palooza the Sunday before Halloween. We always have our haunted house and dance, and everybody seems to really enjoy it. Light the Night is at our park, and it's usually the third Saturday in November, weather dependent. We like to have a big bonfire, the horses come out, and it's really enjoyable. We're hoping to have our fireworks. We're budgeted. We're gonna have fireworks again at the end of the new year or beginning of the new year for everybody. But they happen at 8, so it's the end of this year to celebrate, but that's what we have planned for this year, remainder of this year. Any questions? Most of this stuff is all funded by SAS Lotteries Fund, so it's really not your tax dollars that work for you, but it's money that we get from SAS Lotteries.
You've done a great job.
So,
Yes.
Oh, and Parks and Rec.
Well, no, I just meant, we meeting people.
We're always meeting people at the Parks and Rec committee. If you ever want to help out, like the trail initiative was part of that committee. We need people.
Thanks, Steph. One of the big things about coming into this community a couple of years ago was knowing that this community does a lot in the field of recreation. Yeah, there's a big lake out there. There's people coming and going summertime, wintertime, and the rest of it. But there's a lot of activities that go on here, and the kids are taken care of on a regular basis. We talk about it almost daily. Before and after program, now the child care center, the summer programs, the swim programs, all those type of things. These are just additional stuff that works. And look, we just went through with Canada Day, just had a great community fair. it's a big part of our community, and I commend everybody that gets involved, and this council is definitely involved, and it goes back to that advertising too. It's advertising for a church that's having some sort of event or whatever. This council is really wanting to make the community be open and be able to have those activities go on and be able to let people know that they're happening in the community also. So commend everyone for that. As I mentioned, those other items of interest we had put on there, we thought Sass Parks was going to be here. So I don't know whether we're going to beat a dead horse. We talked too much about it. We want to talk a little bit about the pier and the docks just briefly. And I think that maybe I will take that on, if that's all right, Council. We've had an interesting year. I will not going to sugarcoat anything or take it the other way. Over the last 2 years that I've been here, we have the day dock, if you want to say that ran beside the pier, and we never put the finger docks. Pardon my terms, but that's what the terms are that have been told. We didn't have the finger docks on for about 2 years, and never had any problems with any of that. People were obliged to use the day docks and were able to exit off onto the beach or onto whatever. And then, of course, everybody got creative and we got into the waterfront project in conjunction with Sass Parks, in conjunction with the municipality. And also this year, we wanted to look at, or got asked to look at putting the finger docks back out, getting them repaired, getting back to where we were in previous years. With all this said, we're struggling now, and I'm going to be perfectly honest with you, struggling with the finger docks because they're getting banged up because of the waves and the wake and so forth there, and they're not getting used as much, and it's going to start costing some money once again to the municipality. So we really have to review that. Over the last 2 years when we had the day dock, no problem with that, but we do have a little bit of a problem because we have rocks that are down there by where the day docks are, and they can't get off. And we're having issues, people. We're having issues. Let's be honest here. We're having issues. If you see signs up now, it says don't use the docks right now because they aren't safe. And that's what we want to make sure we let everyone know. We have to review this whole area because we have to talk to Water Security Agency. We've already talked to Sass Parks. We have a lot of work to do in this area still to be able to get this day dock back to where it needs to be. So please just bear with us. And if you have comments to it, great. We want to hear it too, because we've been here and trying to deal with it as best as we possibly can. When you live in a community that has a big lake and you're utilizing those areas as the community as we are, it's not Bethune that doesn't have a waterway by it. You have to work with the people that are there. We talked about Sass Parks earlier. We talked about even Kilco earlier. You have to be able to work in partnership with them to do it. But sometimes we have to make sure we take care of Regina Beach also. So this is an area that we have to make sure that we're doing that. And we have to feel strong enough to say, let's take care of Regina Beach and not have a big expense to our municipality and to the ratepayers. And council's had some deliberations definitely on that. So if you have any comments on that, please, this is when it is. And we're at the end anyway. So the question and answer, I'd really like that if you need to, if you want to stand up, that's great to be able to do it. It's worked out pretty good if you don't, if you're not, but please raise your hand, ask a question. I want to reiterate everyone back, we're going to try to take some notes so that we can track some of this stuff if we need to, and then we'll see how this goes. So if you want the microphone, please ask for the microphone and Councillor Mark will do it. Go ahead.
Okay, I might be a little bit down on this, but my big concern is that every single year for the past 20 years, I've been complaining about the mess of my block, in particular next door. You send a letter to council, and it was the first week in June that I did it this year, and now it's August. No grass has been cut, the thistles are gone to bloom, the weeds are up past my head, and nothing gets done because you have to warn, you have to give them time, there should be something in place where if you're a repeat offender, then you know what? You don't get the 8 weeks of the summer to get this done. You have to do it now.
Good job.
That's our biggest freaking place that I've had for 20 years and it's still happening. Why does it take so long for people to cut their grass?
Can you stand up, please?
And we all know the places that are open, and it happens over and over and over again. It's the same places, it's the same look. You have a nice town employees who are doing a wonderful job, of cut the grass, keep the weeds down, and then you get these god awful places like next door to you.
Isn't it neat, like, you know, I like to hear some of that, like the excavation.
I'm gonna address that, one of the things that administration and council has really been trying to work on the last couple of years is bylaws, right? Bylaws govern how we operate and how we do things, other than our rules and regulations, other than all the different areas, the acts and so forth. And one of the bylaws that we just looked at is for fines to review, fines that are going forward in doing that. And it's all encompassing to take care of what happens if their dog is barking or the dog gets loose, like those type of things. Everything relates to it. And we're trying to finalize our fines on the bylaw side, so we can do that too. But also, we're taking more initiative to want to be able to go in and we can go in and actually clean it up if we need to, if we get past the point of doing that. Or we actually have groups now that do it for us and they charge it back to the homeowner. So we have that on, just so you know, we have that on, it's like a retainer where they have. Well, all I'm gonna say is just keep doing it to our office, because it's getting better. I will say, it's getting better. It's getting better, honestly. Believe me. My record on this thing, it's getting better, but yes. And if you want to, come and see me after, because I want an address, please. And thank you.
So
Good.
Go ahead.
along that same line, you might have to put the town on that list of fines. Because
Can't hear you.
put the mic down. Is it on?
No, it's not. Push the button.
I just want to let people know that on Sunday at the United Church, the Philippine singers are there. Anyone is welcome to come. 11 o'clock.
So, every year I look forward to when the summer students start, because I know the drainage ditch on 4th Avenue between 5th and 6th Street East will get cut. I called in June just to make sure, when are the students starting? And yes, it's on the list. It has not been cut. And the weeds and the thistles and the cattails are probably 12 feet high. They're plugging the culverts that are there. It is an awful mess. I actually have never seen it this bad.
At 4th?
On 4th Avenue between 5th and 6th Street East, where the new drainage ditch, where the new culverts went in. It's an awful mess. And on the east side of us, the culvert that was put in on the east side of 6th Street East is plugged solid. It's so full of cattails that if water could get in there, it couldn't come out the other end. And so anytime it rains, 6th Street East washes into our yard. We have a pile of dirt in our yard. So, putting in culverts is wonderful, but they have to be maintained. And I think I sent a picture with a service request 2 or 3 years ago, showing that culvert being totally blocked.
Thank you. I'm definitely checking that.
So the other question I have is partly RCMP. I'm wondering how many issues there have been with the golf cart bylaw. I'd hate to open up a can of worms, but
Anybody else?
How many are? They haven't reported how many.
Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't get that report. I have seen them this year. I've seen them pull over a couple of golf carts and a couple of bikers, which I should say that we did meet with the RCMP and we said the education time is over. Thanks for doing that last year, and it was a year of education, but we were I think it was Mark, you were there, and he met with the RCMP and we told him that education time is over. We want some penalties now so we've left it with them. I'm hoping.
Unfortunately, they're not around enough to enforce it. We still see unlicensed drivers, more bodies on carts than there are seats. And not following the rules of the road, coming through stop signs. I've seen so many near misses that I shudder to think.
Side by side.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
A simple question, do we have any idea what the current permanent population of the beach is? I know what the census said, but it seems to me that we've really, the makeup of the town has changed a lot in the last couple of years. The cottages are coming down, big houses are going up, and I just wonder if you had any indication other than the official census.
And the census is coming around again.
Yeah.
Quite quickly, yeah, this year or next, and I know that Randy has made some discussions already with the people that's necessary to say, hey, look, we gotta figure out what's what when it comes to the seasonals to the full-timers, right? And there is a little bit of a gray area, if you want to say that, because of it on permanent residents to seasonals, for that. So I don't think our figures really changed. I think we're 1272, I think, if I'm 42, somewhere in that range. So we'll see what we can do with census. I know that, the previous place I was working at, we really got involved with the census because we were in the same boat where we're looking at the people that came into town and realizing it just for part of the year. So we worked closer with the census, and I have a great staff in the office that definitely could do that. Well, look, good question, thank you. Oh, sorry, go ahead. Who had their hand up? Yes. Oh, yes, go ahead. Oh. Just, yeah.
Hello.
Hi guys, how council? My name is Rick Haver. I'm here representing approximately 80 residents, 40 residences around Nickel Avenue, Osborne, and McMurtry Avenue. Over the last year and a half, we've had nothing but noise on weekends. And the noise is coming from the party facility at the golf course. I know the town has no jurisdiction over it, but as taxpayers, it goes till 2 a.m, Saturday nights. Now they're doing it weeknights, Thursday nights, and it's affecting everybody in the neighborhood. We have shift workers who have to get up at 4 o'clock to be a shift by 5, 6. They don't sleep. They can't have their windows open because it's just too noisy. And there are people that have no air conditioning in their houses, their residences that have no air conditioning. They can't open their windows on the weekend. And it does go till 2 a.m. Some of the residents have emailed the event coordinator, but there's nothing's happening with it. When we approach council, you say just phone the RCMP. We phone the RCMP, they go out there, nothing happens. It's basically it's affecting a lot of people. I was actually very surprised at how many people are affected by this. I have a petition here that most of the residents, in fact, all the residents in that area have signed. There were very few people that did not want to sign this. And it is a very big problem. Like, I can play you on my phone.
The boom, boom, boom.
How it sounds from my bedroom, at 2 o'clock in the morning if you want. Can I do that?
We had a quick discussion about it because I mean, it's a significant concern and we get it.
Yes.
We also talked about as a municipality sending them a letter.
Okay.
What we would like to include is your petition with signatures would be nice to include in the letter, but we have talked a little bit about that and we'll continue to.
There's the petition, thanks to get back straight on that too from one of the residents that couldn't be here.
Thank you.
Like I say, it doesn't just affect myself, it affects, I have people in Canute here. That people down behind the school that can hear. You can imagine how loud it is where we live. And I have, actually, there's a few people here right now who have signed the petition, and I don't know if you guys want to say anything. But,
I didn't sign
It
the
is.
petition, but I think some of it comes from the campground sometimes.
very little, and they shut down by 11.
We
It's
also,
not very often.
we also have an organization called IMU, which is, our intermunicipal committee.
Okay.
And we thought we could also bring it to IMU so that the other communities can understand the difficulty there is and perhaps support us a little bit.
I'm gonna just so you guys understand how loud it is.
Basically,
I've been recording this on the voice recorder the last month and a half, so just so you have an idea of how.
Yeah, that's bad. It's bad.
All everything. This is on July 20th, at 1:35 in the morning. That's like a sort of like that, it's like. Here, that's very low. That goes on like, so maybe it's more than something there. Then one more for you guys. This is June 22nd, 1:32 AM. It starts at 7 o'clock at night, and goes to 4 in the morning. And that is, I mean, this is a voice small thing all over my system, so that's how.
Have you guys discussed any, like, because it's a real dilemma, have you discussed any ideas on what to do?
I have, we can send emails to the event coordinator.
Okay,
And it started off, she's civil, but now it's to the point where she's saying she's doing everything she can. They're monitoring the noise, but they're not monitoring the noise. So now it almost comes down.
okay, well anyways, I'm just tossing it out there, I mean, this is a difficult situation, we may not be the only community having it, so all input would be, of ideas, that is, would sure be welcome, we're sure aware of the problem, but very limited ideas on what to do.
I sat there when you asked you last time.
Yeah. Yeah,
And it's.
but
it's
please,
borderline.
please contact us if somebody knows of other places that have had some success with these difficulties or has some ideas, we rely on you guys.
Well, the RCMP is actually.
The tent, sorry, who owns the tent, the wedding tent?
Well, it's run by the golf course.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
and so why isn't it 11 o'clock?
because they're not in our municipality.
Yeah,
And Canucamos 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
So.
we didn't know if they had a bylaw,
They do.
Newcomb does.
I
Okay.
don't know about the golf course, Canucamos does.
Oh, okay.
And told the RCMP last Sunday morning, they're basically to the point now where it could become a criminal offense under section 175 of disturbing the peace. So, and that's the intent there, but the intent's there because they're not turning it down. They've been asked to turn it down. We suggested them facing the street in a different direction. But that's just gonna upset the people facing that way. The streets there from the campground, they're trying to shake.
Well, anyways, like I say, no one's debating that there's a problem, but what to do about it is a tough one, because we just.
I tried to talk to her. I exchanged emails with her and so forth, and I said, come up on the hill and listen. Simple solution. And that was about it. She did have it down maybe once or twice. But even for me, when I went in the house out here, Jackson sounded like singing at the front door. And I got to work the next day. So being sleep deprived during the summer. It's not good.
Have you approached anybody within Connecticut?
I have, they're gonna get a copy of the, I've been emailing them, I haven't had a reply yet, so. It's, but it's a problem, see, even the people in the campground, they're all close than we are. Their trail is shaking. And I've got them to sign a separate page on there stating that fact. So.
Let's move on. Let's move on.
And thank you very much for bringing it up, and as Councilor Metz mentioned, we did discuss this earlier. So we had a little bit of an idea, and you've been hearing it, of course, because we've got reports to the office also, so, that's where we can stand right now with it, and council can review and continue to stay. I actually would like to get, just a little bit more information, or if you haven't sent it to the office already, I can't remember. A lot of service trackers come through, so we can chat just briefly about that also, so. Any other questions?
What is your bylaw anyway for noise?
A noise bylaw?
What is the noise bylaw?
Yeah.
We have it, it's online. The noise bylaw is in place for, we've actually just revamped it so that it has a quiet time, if you want to classify it as, from 11 o'clock at night until 7 o'clock in the morning. But of course, any other excessive noise throughout any other time, isn't permitted also. But it is online, or should be online. It can be reviewed that way too.
I was curious, because I actually got a notice violation. For starting a boat, I got away. And I don't have a place to start my boat. They might put the driver down there to boat one and break my there, or because that's not working. And I listened to my radio, like, in my driveway, in my back, I had a on the radio, I turned it off. But it went over Davis, and I found wanting to do that. I just wanted to.
Yeah, and if somebody reports it, they must have reported it, or somebody, I'm guessing somebody reported it, so that it becomes the term past the point of noise of being excessive or all those type of things. And hopefully bylaw has addressed that with you. If they haven't, then they will.
Call me back.
Okay, well then, we will, he's in twice a week right now, so we'll double check on that and go from there. So.
I'm just wondering, so what am I supposed to work on my boat? I can't work on the boat. And like, am I gonna go for a chainsaw or what?
Once again, it's, where we're looking at is it's excessive noise is one of the main question, or the main topics that is excessive noise, that is a part of it. So noise, when you review noise bylaws anywhere, the whole province, through Canada, they're all basically the same, done that way, but somebody's reporting it, it must be classified in their minds as excessive noise. So it's working both ways so that you can enjoy your property and the neighbors can enjoy their property around you also. So.
That's just it. I shot 4 years on my property later. And I hear boats all the way that come by their radiation stereo. I mean, or even Randy lives down the road and he watches the football games. I can hear the plays on that. It doesn't bother me. I don't care. Yeah, in the mayor, right?
The mayor is part of hearing, so that's why I know that. I could say that, don't you?
It's just that easy to hear.
Yeah.
If I listen to stuff, like I was.
If bylaw should be contacting you, then I'll check into that also if they need to. So, and she's written it down. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay. First of all, I want to say to council that I appreciate the work that you're doing. I appreciate the work council's doing. I've been there. I know it's how hard a job it is. I've been in contact with Mike, our CAO, several times about the lack of public service work in our area. From May till the present day, there's been no grass cutting between 9th Street and 14th Street, between 5th Avenue and 7th Avenue. And if we're looking at drainage, having that grass 2 feet tall along the public reserve makes the water going down 6th Avenue into my driveway, where it should be able to go into the public reserve. We've got 6 full-time staff, 1 permanent part-time, and 2 summer students. So I'm having difficulty understanding why things aren't getting done. And I put in a request in May asking for service to be completed or started on 6. And to this date, I have not received an answer as to when I can expect anything to be done. And the public reserve, my husband and I have picked up 3 trees laying across 6th Avenue that have cracked from the wind or that are rotten from the public reserve. I know we don't have the staff for that, but it definitely is a fire hazard. And we used to have a Fire Smart program. And Wayne.
Yeah, the Fire Smart, if it got just getting going and got submarine by COVID, we're talking about getting that started again this fall. And as far as the public reserves go, I found a grant that you have to apply for over the winter time that addresses fire hazards exactly like that. So that's one of the things I'm gonna Steph's gonna help me with and try and get some funding for that.
My husband and I have no problem in going in there, but I know it's a town liability and we can't go in there.
Too many lawyers in the world.
Yeah,
right.
So, but I also want to know, in terms of service tracker, when you submit a request for work to be done, can you tell me the process with that and what gets priority over, you know, other areas of town? Like what's the procedure once a service tracker goes in?
Yeah, so when the service tracker comes in, and it is rated as a 1 to 4. Depending on what the emergency is, if you want to say that, or the problem. So anything with water lines and so forth, of course, would be at a higher end than lower. And it goes into, and we use the term the queue that we put towards any of our workings that we have. We man the entire municipality, so those things get put into the system and they get completed once done. If it's completed, we get a report from Public Works Department that work has been completed at that time. Sometimes we will send out a report back saying the work's completed, depending on what the actual work is. If it's a water line, if it's something else. The one in question that I did check on, potholes, things like that, we will deal with when we have one supplies and done and so forth as part of it. And I want to let anyone else that's listening, anytime a service tracker comes in, it gives us an idea of what potentially we need to do, things we may need to do, and but some of it has to be done as per budget, as per regulations, as per those things. So that's why some stuff maybe doesn't get done, because we still have to review it. And that's our job to do that, to make sure we're reviewing it and we can prioritize going forward. So
you have the snow removal map that shows priority streets and that sort of thing. Do you have a similar map in terms of grass cutting, tree trimming? Like you have students come into the beach. How do they know where they're supposed to go and what they're supposed to do? And then is there any accountability? Does anyone check and make sure those things are done?
That's our job. That's what we do. That's our job. That's supervisor's job. That's our job to do that. And so we will maintain that and continue to do it. And regardless of who's doing the job at that time, we make sure that it's done and completed, and we put the service tracker back in to have it completed.
And do you go out yourself, Mike? Do you know?
It depends, Kim. It depends on what's necessary to do that. So.
Like if I said to you, do you know where your drive is? Do you know where that is?
Yes, yeah, yes I do, and we could have a discussion all night about that, and I can tell you about the drainage areas, and I can tell you about the hot spots and the rest of it, and that's what council has me here to be able to do that with Public Works.
Well, what I'm getting at is when you go into those areas, do you actually see what I'm calling then about the trees and the grass? And is that recorded?
When we pass it on through the service tracker, that's where it's reported to be done. And we have a tracking over the last X amount of years with the service trackers, so we know where the problem areas are in the past and so forth.
So that was submitted in May, we are now into August.
And as I mentioned before, Kim, May,
We're looking after right now.
yeah, May is when you submitted to the office for the potholes in town to be able to, yes, I read it just before we came here tonight because yeah, so we'll deal with that ourselves individually, so the other people can be done for the, so. Go ahead.
First responders. A little over a year ago, I had an accident. I fell and broke my back. And we called 911. And we were expecting first responders, but there was nothing. So I was laying there for over an hour until the ambulance actually arrived from Regina. So what is the protocol? What are we supposed to do if we have an accident such as that? Or what if it would have been even more serious than what it was?
As with the fire department, the medical responders are all volunteers. And they all work, so it's a matter of availability at that time. We've had, I know in my experience, we've had some significant wait time for ambulance. And my suggestion is you make that clear to your MLA that we are not satisfied with the ambulance response. I can drive my car at the speed limit 29 minutes from here in the city, and we're waiting an hour. The worst one was 8.5 hours waited for an ambulance, and that's, to me, that's not acceptable. Yeah, the MLA and the health ministers need to hear about that.
Are your firefighters not first responders?
Firefighters have basic medical training. We are not dispatched to medical emergencies unless requested by the medical first responders. And it's usually to do with traffic control and lift assistance.
Right, I was a firefighter for 35 years.
Yeah, I know.
Everybody is a first responder. That's something this is a shock to me.
Well, you're a career firefighter, don't forget, we're volunteers.
But still, there's other, if you load other crowds and stuff, first responders, that's bad. An hour delay, and you have a fire department here that you're asking for $850,000 for a fire truck. Ooh, I'd be looking at that, guys. I'd be looking at training way before I'd be doing. I'm a believer in training before buying a fire truck. Get your first responders up to date. Have somebody here, even if they. You need to look at that. He could have died, and then there would be a lawsuit.
Buddy, they aren't paid, so.
Well, you know, the point is.
To that, there are a number of medical first responders now. There's 3 that are on the fire department, and 2 of those people work, one's retired and 2 of them work from home. So they are available as medical first responders, so
Look at
situations shouldn't occur again.
It's also one of those things that in the community, if you know of anybody that could perhaps volunteer for those positions. Encourage them to do that, because they put calls out constantly for first responders and they don't get anybody putting their names forward. So without that, there's.
I think you
I
got.
put my name for it, but I just got crickets from
From the first responders.
Well, the volunteer fire.
Okay, so I'm saying the first responders, because they are 2 different groups. So if the first responders have a call out for first responders, so that's the medical one. And then they did have a big call out here quite a while ago because we had like 3 in town.
Oh, how long do responders notified?
By 911.
So when you phone 911.
They dispatch to first responders if anybody's available.
There was issues in the past where if you didn't ask for the local medical first responders, they didn't dispatch them. There were some cases of that a few years back.
So if you got a fire, what happens?
What's that?
If you got a fire here.
911 dispatch fire.
That's 911 dispatch.
There's nobody on call here, or nobody, they're all volunteers, right? You have a fire here, you have to have some type of process where these guys are coming.
Yes.
To put out the fire, and that could be with your EMS system also.
Well, EMS, that's a part that SaskCal's gonna take care of. As far as the fire department goes, we have mutual aid agreements with Lumsden, Bethune, Silton, Crake, I believe. And that's, if we're short of firefighters, they get called right away.
I just find that I find that terrible.
Well, on Sunday there was a call in at 911, and ambulance fire and the helicopter fire out on the beach.
Well,
That was pretty dark way.
You're talking about the situation here,
Yeah.
David Ford?
That was a good response, I thought.
Medical first responders are responded to that. Traffic control was the requirement of the fire department. And depending, there's certain kind of accidents that stars are scrambled automatically. And this was probably one of those, because they were coming before the ambulance was even here.
In any event, this is just an event that happened, and there are some glitches in the system. It doesn't work flawlessly, so I think you need to be aware that something needs to be in place in the event first responders are not available. Somebody needs to know.
That would again be Ministry of Health. Like, I'm sorry, I totally understand that I have had instances where first responders haven't shown up either because they're not in town. But as a municipality, we have to rely on that Ministry of Health to have the volunteers in place. The volunteers exist from community members willing to do it.
Yeah, but
right?
if they're not available.
Then the Ministry of Health has to increase their ambulance response times because we don't have an ambulance.
Yeah. Anyway,
This question is for Wayne. Wayne, we had at least a dozen first responders and now you call them emergency first responders, like a medical. Yeah, so what's the difference?
Medical first responders go through a 3 weekends, 2-day training. And whatever they have to do there at an emergency scene to stabilize until EMS arrives.
See, when we were first responders in the Weyburn area, we each had our own kit. And we went through the training and then the certification. Recertification, is there more training coming up for first responders?
The problem with the training with the first responders is that they move it around the cities. The last, they did it in spring, I believe it was in Kindersley. And that's the only place in it, and so it has been offered in Regina, but they keep moving it around as far as I've been told. And that's one of the problems, if you could get it in Regina, Saskatoon or closer, or bring it here, where you have 10 people in the class, then that'd be you get a lot of better response, because like I said, you're talking 2 days, your way, Saturday, Sunday is all day training for 3 weekends. So wherever you go there, you have to go there and you have to sponsor that. There's expenses with travel expenses, right? So
I think we have to remember that we are not a city and people move out here thinking that they're gonna have all the amenities they have in the city, and it's not the case. I know the town works really hard, but
response time is definitely.
And I mean, that's saying anywhere in rural, if you live on a farm, because the similar distance, if you have an accident, you're gonna be waiting. Even if you don't get
I've seen reports in the city that there's no ambulances available.
Yeah.
And recently, like in the last
They're all
few
sitting
weeks.
in the ER waiting
Right?
to unload.
So
their
I mean,
patients
even in
to
the city, some of the response times aren't great.
right now.
Thanks for that, sir, because maybe some of us never even knew about that, so that's a good conversation. So rather good literature. Anything else? Oh, sorry.
You talked about the day dogs and the issues with them. You didn't really address the access to the day dogs. Is that something that you're looking at?
Yeah, we're working at that right now. I mentioned before about having to get a hold of water security agency, SAS Park, like go through a whole step to have them.
May I just ask a quick question? Who is responsible for monitoring parking spots at the beach, for instance?
Well,
at the beach.
in the parking
For
lot
instance,
there.
the handicap spot, I believe there's 4 now, maybe 5 even, I didn't tell.
Over on the,
Down at the.
on the gravel.
In front of the water, in front of the bar, and
Yes, yes, who's responsible?
that would
for
be
that?
Sassen Park.
Sassen Park. So we don't
I
have.
feel like
to
it's like
whether we
our
have
like
a
default answer here.
ticket or not, I guess. No, I take some people down to the beach often that I need to park there and I have a card. But the
And
other
people
5
just
that are
ignore the
there,
signs. Yeah.
the other 5 don't have them, and I hold it fast on this week. I just pulled in behind her, and took my people down. And she said, oh, well, we need those spots for picnicking.
Doesn't sound like much of a disability.
Okay, go ahead.
Last year, we were fairly strong about some things that everybody agreed to in here. And one of them was meetings during the week. And we were fairly strong last year that, and this is perfect example how it's 9:15 and people at our age and stuff need to get home. My age need to get home. We made a suggestion that these meetings get done on Saturdays or on a weekend so that you can have the people that come up to the weekends and aren't working, that have their cottages on the weekend that aren't here, and they go back and forth. So we talked about that last year. And the other thing we talked about, was we had a presentation last year on EMS that took 51 minutes that we sat here for. And we suggested bringing that down to a rule of something that you guys were gonna think of, whether it's 6 minutes, 8 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever. I've never heard that. And that's all from last year, guys.
So a few of you mentioned that you didn't like the weeknight. We did used to do the weekend,
Right.
and the attendance was very low for the last few years, so they tried the weeknight, and attendance has been higher.
Oh, then I stand corrected, because I just thought.
So they didn't have 54 people present on a Saturday at 10 a.m. because it was affecting people's weekend on the water. If it was a nice day, people weren't coming to the meeting.
Yeah, they said they didn't want it to affect their family, and we had literally like 9 people and 8 people, and it was brutal.
Oh, okay.
So
then I
we
stand
did try
corrected.
that.
We talked about it last
Yeah,
year.
no.
Nobody said that last year. We said we would take.
It was very, at the very end of the meeting, it was brought up that the
Okay,
weeknight was a
good.
very bad idea, but that was the
I just
backstory
want
to
to-
why it was a weekend.
The graphics here of who's here.
Yeah.
And it's not cottage owners, that's for sure. It's people that live there most.
They were keeping the,
And we did have a discussion too about the time frame, and we didn't want to put numbers to it, but we also looked at it as we have to be cognizant of not being here all night and being able to do it. And I think the way that we set up our agenda today, everybody got a chance to chat. Unfortunately, we didn't have the RCP. That might have kept us a little longer because there's some issues that we all feel that's a part of it that the RCP. He's all right.
There's too hungry to.
I think with that and that comments, I think that,
coming to the meeting tonight and voicing my opinion, and I appreciate your responses, Mike. And I know people in council are probably thinking, well, it's her again. Well, I care about Regina Beach. I live here. This is I care about what's being done and what's not being done. A lot of people today said to me, why do you get so upset? Like, why do you care? Because nothing ever changes. So what can you as an administrator and council help in changing that attitude? Because we would have more representation here, but people say, why bother? Nothing ever changes.
I don't know. I just want to answer that since I feel that since I've been here and since the new council, when some of the previous council was here, I think you're seeing more advancement than you ever have. I'm seeing stuff that I see 54 people here, which is great to see too, because then there's interest in what's going on. And I think that $7.9 million of monies are going to be spent because the council's taken the time and effort to better things like Fifth, the water lines, work on things, a safe walking path that you work. Like, there's a lot of things going on in the community. And as Councillor Metz mentioned before, sometimes we get zoned into our area and that's it. And it's not to say that we're not going to do it, but we have to be cognizant that we have to take care of the entire municipality. So I think it's been better. I think it's getting better. We could be cutting trees until 2055 in this community, regardless of it. And we've started that process, and council has worked with us to get the machinery and plus contract people to start that process. So that's just one thing of many others. It's good to hear that we're not cutting grass at certain places and doing that, because now we can take that back and be able to do it. Service tracker is another great thing, I think, because we're able to review it and see what's happened in the past and also go forward. So I think, I'm only speaking for me working here and being with council, that it's definitely a progress.
I'll give a counselor's perspective. This is the third council that I've sat on it, and I know we're much more progressive, and I'm not saying the other councils were not committed, they were, but I know that we're moving forward at a better pace. I think much more is getting accomplished, and I think we're listening a lot better. I think we're communicating a lot better. It takes time, and I mean, this, again, these are all volunteers doing the very best we can do, but I can assure you, this is a strong council that cares very much.
And action speaks volumes.
Yes.
And we have to see that action.
Well, I think one thing that adds to all this over the years is that with more regulations and more complexity, it takes longer to get everything done, or more things to need to be done, like decommissioning the landfill and what you're gonna do instead. You know,
these are big things.
Lagoon and all the extra regulations you have to follow now, and the new water systems, all the
Well, the
regulations, there's
time-
money and time.
The
and all that.
time saved for these.
Yeah, and
big
the money
things.
and the
Yeah.
complexity
Yeah.
and dealing with all the organizations, that's more work. So that just adds to the whole thing.
You know, with that, I think on behalf of, it's up on the screen. Thank you and have a good night, and thanks everybody for showing up today as a part of our council. So.
Thank you. Right, is that the chair is that? What's that? No, yeah, I'm the stack chair. Oh, you don't have that. Oh, hey, it's in my job description. Let me get your email address. Anytime somebody puts something for me.
So it's just all lowercase, so it's just my name, BCKI, I'm sorry.
Anxiety,
Yeah. All right.
Thanks.